from our Public Service Commissioner, good friend, Stan Wise. Stan?
Thank you, Randy. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm Stan Wise. I'm your conservative voice on the Public Service Commission. It's so good to be here today with family and friends in this auditorium, especially in the year when we start to take back our liberties and improve this economy and toss Barack Obama out of office. This may be my 20th state convention. We have come so far. You've heard that story about our Republican Party in the old days meeting in the telephone booth. Well, clearly, if I'd been in the telephone booth, there wouldn't be much room left for anybody else. But it was back in those days with Paul Coverdale and John Linder and the like. We were meeting perhaps a broom closet in Cobb County back in the 70s. It's not that long ago that I was won re-election in election to the Public Service Commission in 1994, in the year of that Republican Revolution. We took control of the public service that year. And it's a good thing, because for 2 decades now we've been practicing fiscal responsibility at the state, at the Public Service Commission, something that they don't know much about in Washington, D.C. Everything I've championed over the years has centered around 3 things. Number 1, do the things necessary to keep our utility rates low over time. And our utility rates are among the lowest in the Southeast and in this country. And in case you haven't heard, by taking advantage of the lower natural gas prices that we're seeing today, that starting June the 1st will lower your electric rates by 6% in this state. Just in time for the cooling season in our state. Number 2, to invest in our energy infrastructure. We've poured hundreds of millions of dollars into our electric and natural gas transmission systems so that we can better deliver energy to our homes and our business to meet demand for decades to come. And number 3 is to diversify our energy mix. Natural gas is currently in favor now and is lowering our utility bills, but it wasn't just but a short year or 2 ago that it was high, and it wasn't quite so high. And that's why I'm proud to say that Georgia is leading the nuclear renaissance in this country. After much work in this state by our governor, by the General Assembly, and by the Public Service Commission, Georgia received the first new nuclear permits for construction in the entire country in the last 30 years. In just a few short years, we'll benefit from that plant, and it'll be the lowest cost energy available, and it will serve Georgians for decades to come. Energy regulation does need, it takes a steady hand, one with experience, someone who has the long view in mind, someone who does not shift burdens on to future generations, someone who does not swallow the Obama clean energy mandate, hook, line, and sinker. And if you did fish in that pond, all you'd end up was a muddy boot at the price of the evil skin loafer. I'm here to tell you folks that I'm proud that we've done things with solar generation in this state. Some want to minimize the accomplishments that we've made. We have approved 55 megawatts of solar power in this state. It will put us in the top tier next year of our country in solar generation. And while this is good, I will oppose efforts by the green energy lobby to ask all of you to pay higher utility rates to subsidize a few to put solar panels on their roof. Solar generation is showing promise. There will be a time it will be efficient, and it will take its place in the mix in our state. But the green energy lobby has already pushed an opponent against me in the Republican primary, and she has already shown her true colors. When she ran for office in 2008 as a Republican, she immediately turned it around after being defeated in that primary and endorsed the Democrat in that election. To put things in perspective, this Democrat has endorsed Barack Obama. The same Obama who has blocked the Keystone Pipeline, a key part of us providing energy independence in our nation. Even Bill Clinton has endorsed the Keystone Pipeline. who brought us Solyndra Energy and the failed $500 billion loan. The same Obama who's buying electric batteries from China that give us 40 hours of service. We need a president that creates a new energy policy in this country. And while I may have supported Newt Gingrich for president here in Georgia, you can bet the farm I'll be supporting Mitt Romney for president now. Your vote. God bless you all. It's my pleasure, in addition, I'm going to get to introduce my colleague on the Public Service Commission, the brains of the operation. Chuck Eaton is the bright new voice at the Public Service Commission. In addition, he's got a young family, he's running for re-election, and he's going to night law school. My good friend, my colleague, Mr. Chuck Eaton.
Raise a little bit because that little guy that just went before me. You know, thank you very much. See that little girl up there? That's my daughter, Liddy. She's the reason I believe that conservative leadership on the Public Service Commission is important. What does conservative leadership on the PSC mean to me? It's a vision of Georgia that has clean air and water, a low cost of living, good jobs for people that are willing to work. Conservative leadership is important as we make decisions that affect our environment, our quality of life, and our ability as a state to attract new jobs and to encourage entrepreneurial job creators. We are faced with difficult decisions. I try to keep in mind the vision of conservative leadership that we share. And I try to remember that our decisions will affect Georgia's quality of life and economy today and for years to come. It's important to be good stewards of the environment. It's equally important to be good stewards of the economy. It looks like our state has begun to turn the corner. We've had some great announcements of new jobs from Governor Deal. And this week it was announced that Georgia's unemployment has hit its lowest level in 3 years. On the Public Service Commission, we worked with Governor Deal and the General Assembly to get the manufacturing energy sales tax repealed to bring jobs to Georgia. You've heard this tax mentioned a lot, and sales tax on energy used in manufacturing is a mouthful. Let's call it what it is. It was really a job-killing tax. And we all worked together to remove it. Repealing that tax was cited in a number of the announcements of jobs being brought to our state. On the Public Service Commission, we are doing our part to help you keep your money by accelerating a substantial rate decrease for the summer cooling season. This is the fruit of conservative leadership. Conversely, our president, during a suffering economy, has chosen this opportunity to destroy jobs with an extreme green agenda. And I expect the Democrats will choose the same path in Georgia. I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of people who have never had a real job in their entire lives mandating to us untested liberal theories. Here is the reality. We have been losing high-paying manufacturing jobs overseas, and we need to turn things around. And now is the time to implement, and now is not the time to implement radical agendas. Everyone here knows the effects of a heavy-handed government. Georgia has been able to recruit some great industries like Caterpillar and Abbott Labs because of favorable economic environment nurtured by conservative public policy. These are high-paying jobs, and Georgia needs to be a magnet in attracting them. The Commission has shown that fostering a favorable business environment doesn't mean neglecting the environment our children play in, but rather than taking a heavy-handed approach to picking winners and losers in the energy industry, we've approached it from a sound business perspective. I've always said that if you want to see how Obama's radical socialist policies work, just look at countries like Greece and Cuba. If you want to see how radical energy policies work, look to states like New Jersey and California, with electric rates up to 50% higher than here in Georgia. We please join me in assuring this commission isn't hijacked by proponents of big government who don't understand how these policies will force high-paying manufacturing jobs overseas. We've been through some trying times, and now is not the time to put more people out of work with risky programs. I've told you what I think about balancing our economic interests with the environment, and now I'm interested to hear what you think. I'm now asking for your opinion, recognizing the responsibilities that are our priorities. And you see it up here. To share your opinion with me, please text Chuck to 28748 or visit my website at chuckeaton.org. I'm genuinely interested in how much more people are willing to pay for these alternative energy programs. Thank you very much for your support and your help. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to introduce my very good friend, the great Secretary of State of the great state of Georgia. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm a lot like Chuck Eaton. We're blessed that our daughters look like their mother. Last year I talked to you about a lot of the things that we're doing in the Secretary of State's office to make government more efficient, to streamline our processes. And today I wanted to talk to you about some of the things that I've been involved with on a national level that we support here in Georgia. I've been pushing the common sense idea that you ought to show a photo ID when you go vote to secure our elections. I've worked hard and testified in states like Texas, North Carolina, Ohio, and Mississippi as they are trying to implement the common sense ideas and conservative ideas that we have done right here in Georgia. We're also working on a national level with other secretaries of states to make sure our voter rolls are secure by checking someone's citizenship before we put them on the voter rolls so we don't have a non-citizen canceling your vote out. Here at home, I'd like to thank the governor and the legislature that 2 years ago gave me the awesome responsibility of setting the date of the presidential preference primary. I worked very hard with them, with the party leadership, and with you all to make sure that we set a date here in Georgia where we would be relevant in the presidential picking process. It was great on election night to know that all our votes, no matter who you supported, that our vote actually counted in the process this year, and candidates didn't not come to the great state of Georgia because there was something else going on that they deemed more important than the rest of the country. I think that was very wise of the governor and the legislature, and I think it will serve us in years to come to continue to make Georgia a leader in the country and who our next president of the United States is going to be, really on both sides. Folks, in closing, I want to say to you that I know that we all agree on many issues, but we disagree on some as well. That's part of this great party. But let me tell you, there's one thing I know that we all agree on, and that is that we need to make Barack Obama a one-time president and send him back to Illinois to play golf with Rahm Emanuel. I hope you'll stop by our booth when we have a break today and pick up your No Obama sticker if you want one for your vehicle. It's now my great opportunity to introduce my good friend Gary Black. Gary's been transforming the Agriculture Commission office and that department and bringing it into the 21st century. Help welcome Commissioner Gary Black.
Ladies and gentlemen, Georgia Republicans, it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you, Secretary Kemp. Thank you for the job that you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, 7 years ago, I had the privilege of walking not in this hall, one very similar to it in Savannah. And you talk about green. I've been around agriculture and politics my whole life, but the first time really running for office, I tell you, it was a tremendous opportunity, but something also a very scary opportunity, quite frankly. Many of you embraced me. You allowed us that year to represent the party in the fall, and we did better than anyone had ever done before, but then just this 2 years ago, you honored us to allow me an opportunity to be your nominee and now to serve. And I just want to thank you that many of you helped pave the way for me to be here today. And I just thank you for all those signs, all those things that you do at the grassroots level are very special to me. I know, how many of y'all in here in this room, how many of you don't care for robocalls? Woo. Well, I did 2 of them in my first campaign, and I know that payback kind of comes back your way. I was in Israel last week, and somebody got my telephone number, my mobile phone. I got 8 robocalls in Israel last week for people running for things at this convention. And I guess that's just payback. I promise you, I'm going to try not to do it anymore. I've learned my lesson. I'm going to give you a stewardship report in just a second about what's going on at the department, but very rapidly. And it's no doubt in my mind that everyone in this room, everyone in this convention center today wants to defeat our current president, wants to send him home packing. But let me tell you, a special message from the agriculture community of this state and this nation. We had a little thing going on last few months. We had a Secretary of Labor in this administration who was a member of Congress that proposed that maybe people 16 years of age and under couldn't even work on their grandparents' farm. They wanted to propose legislation to do that. Then when that didn't fly, they actually moved into the situation of doing that now as Secretary of Labor in the regulatory arena. I'm glad to say that they've heard from America, they've heard from the farm families, they've heard from young farmers, young farm families. I had a 12-year-old son and daughter. When they were 12 years old, they could drive better than any of those knuckleheads that proposed that regulation. Now that's out of the way. That's one of the reasons why this president needs to be replaced. Got other issues relative to dust. This is a news flash for everyone in the room today. Farming is a dusty occupation. We don't need an environmental protection agency regulating dust, ladies and gentlemen. That's one reason we need to move rapidly. I'm going to do my part, and I know that you will yours. I'm delighted. I know Stephen Woodruff, are you in the room? The delegate from Cherokee County. Aaron McCorder's right down here from Carroll County. Just joined us last week at a trade mission in Israel. Some good things happening on the world front. I know Roger Branch is right out here, one of his partners in the peanut and cotton industry. We're joining us with the governor in Turkey in another couple of weeks. We're working real hard, ladies and gentlemen, to build agriculture here at home and open up these foreign markets. And just here recently, we had some real good chances to represent the state of Georgia all across the globe. How many of you in this room like zero-based budgeting? I'm delighted to announce to you that Stage 1 at your Georgia Department of Agriculture has been complete, and we did not need the General Assembly to tell us to do so. It's just good business. We got our farmers markets out of the red this year, and I hope never to return to the red. We had 840 positions this time last year. That's been carved down to 635 that are approved under the budget, but I'm happy to report to you we only have 585 that are working. We're reducing the size of government and improving service all along. We're improving technology. Y'all heard me talk a lot about that we actually have clipboards. We're a clipboard agency. We're rapidly moving in food safety arenas. We have 4 of our inspectors now have iPads. We're transitioning a department to improve communication, and we'll cut a quarter of the market with the technology, because if we're able to do this in this regulatory arena, we'll be the first state in the nation to do so, improving service. And I think you're going to really enjoy as you see that come online in the near future. We've got some good stuff on coming with our schools. How many of you would like to see more Georgia-grown products in our school systems? Just completed a pilot program in Hall County, Lake County, and Coffin County to find out how can we get local communities working together with our farm families to get those fresh farm products that are grown in Georgia on the school plates, the plates for school children. And we're going to see some dramatic improvement over the next year in that regard. I want you to come by and learn more about our Georgia Grown program at our booth up there. We have Georgia Grown peaches, and we hope you'll come and enjoy. Now, last year's convention, we kind of ran short of food, and I don't know if that'll happen this year, but you know you can come to your Commissioner of Agriculture's booth out here, and you get something every time we have a convention. Come enjoy those fresh Georgia Grown peaches from a great state representative, Robert Dickey, who's a real farmer, and I look forward to we join us there as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to serve. Thank you. God bless you for what you do. Let us join you in your counties. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. There are many opportunities to communicate the great things that's going on at your Georgia Department of Agriculture. It's only because you're providing me the opportunity. I want to thank you. We have a great conservative come up from 11th District. He's a great congressman. He's going to serve as well as he'll serve as well in the future. You join me, please, now and welcome the congressman from 11th District, my friend, Honorable Bill B. Greer.
Jerry, thank you. Great to be here with y'all today. You can imagine life in Washington has been challenging, so I never miss an opportunity to come home to Georgia and spend some time with great friends. And let me give a little shout out, of course, to the people, great people of Muskogee County. I was, as you know, had Muskogee County as part of the original 11th District and the 16 other counties, and had friendships that I developed here in Southwest Georgia remain today, and I'm deeply appreciative of that. I want to thank and congratulate Chairwoman Sue Everhart for her leadership of this great Georgia Republican Party. During her tenure, Republicans held the governor's office, swept every statewide constitutional office, and added to the conservative majority. We also earned another congressional seat. As chairman of the G8 come November 1st, I look forward to welcoming 2 members of the delegation. I'm confident that under Sue's direction, this election year, our Republican majorities will continue to grow, and that Georgians will vote to make President Obama a one-term president and elect our 45th Governor Mitt Romney. Let's give Sue a great round of applause. Unfortunately, the effects of this president's disastrous policies will not disappear over election night. From our astronomical national debt, now practically $16 trillion, that's right with a T, out of control spending, to the federal government takeover of health care, to a stagnant economy and high unemployment rate, these failed liberal policies aren't the hope and change we were promised. We must send more conservatives to Washington and send President Obama and Senator Harry Reid back to Chicago and Las Vegas. Unemployment has been above 8% for 39 consecutive months, the highest since the Great Depression. And the United States now ranks 13th in the world for ease and start of business. Can you imagine? More than 46 million Americans are on food stamps. Another million are so discouraged that they've left the workforce completely. They're giving up trying. But my Republican colleagues in the House and I have not forgotten our promise to cut spending and create jobs. We've worked hard this past year to pass 30 jobs bills that would simplify the tax code, lessen onerous regulations, cut excessive spending, balance the budget, boost our economy by stimulating domestic oil and gas production. Yet they continue to stack up on Harry Reid's desk. This November, let's change that. When we met in Savannah back in 2009, the media was in a frenzy about Obama's 100-day grade. Well, 3 years later, he's added $5 trillion to our national debt, ran through a government takeover of 1/6 of our economy, yes, health care, and the price of gas per gallon has doubled from $1.79 to about $3.80 a gallon for regular. You know, it's like Governor Perry said on the presidential primary trail, just simply ask yourself, are you better off today than you were $5 trillion ago? And ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about. That cuts right to the chase. In 2010, then Speaker Nancy Pelosi told Americans that we had to pass a health care bill to find out what's in it. The American people have found out what it contains, broken promises, and an enormous price tag. And we want it repealed. country $1 trillion. Obamacare may cost us nearly $2 trillion, and it indeed creates $500 billion worth of new taxes. As co-chairman of the GOP Doctors Caucus in the House of Representatives and a practicing physician for more than 30 years, I will be the first to applaud their Supreme Court's decision at the end of June to strike down this unconstitutional law. President Obama has spent much of this year, and indeed most of his term, campaigning rather than governing. But he cannot run for re-election on his record. We all know that. So instead, he must pander to his ideological liberal base in the form of card check for big labor, rejection of the Keystone XL pipeline for the environmentalists, filing suit against Arizona for enforcing its own borders, and forcing religious institutions to violate their conscience regarding health care for their employees. All of these things highlight the need for us as a party to continue to grow Republican majority all across this country. Under Governor Deal's leadership, I am certain that the rest of the country may look to the great state of Georgia as an example of how to get it right. With my great friend and former colleague at the helm, Georgia is indeed on the road to recovery. This is proof that governing by conservative principles works. It always has, even during times of uncertainty. We need a president of the United States who believes the same. As we fight this battle in Washington, it's more important than ever that we remain engaged, focused, and energized to grow this party. Your job here at home, in your precincts, in your districts, is to help select candidates that abide by our principles, and in so doing, have the best chance to win in November. We simply cannot afford to fall asleep with switch at such a crucial time for our nation. Let's commit to leading this convention today, ready to spread our message and focus on winning in November. I want to thank each of you for what you do for the party and for your friendship and support. I know we can count on you to make Georgia the reddest of red states in America this year. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the great United States of America. As I leave the podium, I have the pleasure and honor to introduce to you the next speaker, my colleague in the United States House of Representatives. You know who I'm talking about, Dr. Tom Price of the 6th Congressional District. Dr. Price is in his 4th term, and in that short period of time, he's risen to the ranks of the Republican leadership in the House and chairs the House Republican Policy Committee. He's a tremendous leader. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce to you my colleague, my friend, my fellow physician, Dr. Tom Price.
Georgia is a red state. It's not only a red state, it's a Sioux state. Thanks Sue Everhart for the work that she does in our Georgia party. You know, I kind of feel like I'm riding home in Washington, D.C. now, because everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. So let me just share with you a few words. We're at a crossroads. These are remarkably serious times. And the president, as has been stated, clearly can't run on his record. So in fact, his policies have not only been bad, they've made everything worse in our country, whether it's gas prices or health care, or energy or unemployment or spending or foreign policy, which is an abject failure. So he can't run on his record, so he has descended into the politics of division and envy. Never have we had a president, never, who has felt that it is his job to divide the country instead of unify the country. This is distressing to each and every one of us, and as you and I know very well, we can't stand 4 more years of Barack Obama. As a friend recently said to me, he said, "Tom, I don't know about you, but I want my change back." Now that's the bad news, but I want to share with you a little good news. And that is that as you know, there are wonderful, positive, principled solutions to all of the challenges that we face in our country. We can solve the challenge of the budget by spending less, by decreasing our spending, by borrowing less, making certain that we balance the budget and get us on a path to paying off our debt. We can make certain that we increase energy production in the United States so we're not relying on foreign oil. We can make certain that the government is in charge of health care. And we can make certain that this nation is once again respected around the world. But we can't do it with this fellow, and we can't do it with the Democrats in charge of the United States Senate. Which is why we have 171 days. So it's time to get to work, isn't it? Let me remind you that division in the country is bad, but division in a party at election time is, as a physician I'll tell you, is a prescription for defeat. So right now, it is time to pull together as we never have done before. You've said it, I've said it, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. The most important election of our lifetimes. If you believe that, if you've even thought that, what that means is that you've got to do more in this election than you've ever done before, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. But what that means is that every single person with whom you come in contact with between now and that 171 days on November 6th needs to understand your passion, your concern, your fear, your anger, and your understanding that there are wonderful positive solutions. If you share that with them, you never know what person it is that you affect that changes the election in their district, in their state, and makes it so that, yes, we will have a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican President of the United States. You up for that task? We got 171 days left. Remember what Samuel Adams said. It doesn't take a majority to prevail, but an irate and tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. Let's set those brush fires of freedom. God bless you. God bless America.
So before we hear from our next speaker, I wanted to give you a heads up. The Credentials Committee report is almost ready. And so after we hear from Congressman Graves, who will follow Congressman Scott, who will follow Congressman Woodall, we will take the credentials report. I just wanted to give you the heads up so that everybody can make their way back in and we can be ready. So with that, Congressman Bob Woodall. Congressman?
If you don't know, there's no reason that you should. I'm here to bring you greetings from the freshman class in Washington, D.C. The single largest freshman class that's ever been in Washington, D.C. that came there for one reason and one reason only. As President Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi said in November of 2010, let's have a referendum, let's ask America how we're doing. Folks said not so hot. 89 new freshmen in this freshman class. And I'll tell you, at least for a vast majority of them, they're there to focus on two things. I'll tell you one, fair tax. Fair tax, I say to you. Fair tax. You want to talk about how to get government out of your life, out of your pocketbook, out of your decision making, I tell you the tax bill, fair tax, it's not about what you pay, it's about how you pay it. Change Washington, D.C. forever. This freshman class is about one more thing. Freedom. Freedom. Folks ask me in the halls of Congress all the time, they say, Rob, why do you smile so much? I said, if you represented the kinds of people that I represent, you'd smile all the time too, because they don't want more money from me. They don't want more regulation from me. They don't want some unfair advantage over their competitors. They want one thing, and they want freedom. Freedom. If you're thinking about being a United States Congressman, I recommend it to each and every one of you. It is a hard job if you're trying to figure out how to make everybody else happy. It is a hard job if you're trying to figure out how it is that you're so smart, everybody else is so dumb, and if only they'd live life the way you told them to, they'd be happier. But it is an easy job if you believe that every single constituent back home in your great state is in charge of their own happiness, and if only you protect the freedoms that the Constitution of the United States gave them, they will find that happiness on their own. I am not here to tell you that we're getting it all right in Washington. 20% of the House is new Republicans. We're not getting it all right, but I'm going to quote, I started listening to country music this spring, it kind of makes me smile. Quote one of my favorite songs these days, we ain't as good as we're going to get, but we're better than we used to be. And that's because the hard work of absolutely every one of you all out here and across the nation helping those Republicans get elected. And it is my great pleasure to introduce to you the president of the freshman class, one of my freshman colleagues, someone who said when we were there among 89 new freshmen that he would take the mantle of responsibility, that he would try to bring together all of this new conservative energy and do with it what he could to make America stronger and freer, and he's doing exactly that. He's a congressman to myself, my good friend, president of the freshman class, Austin Scott.
First of all, Vivian and I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. If it weren't for many of you sitting in those seats out there, we certainly wouldn't be on this stage today. And more important than that, we wouldn't have 89 freshman Republicans out there standing in the doorway, stopping each and every one of the liberal policies that this president has tried to pass and take away your personal freedoms, individual liberties, and economic opportunities. Now, welcome to Columbus, Georgia, home of Fort Benning, where the Army Rangers are trained. Amen. One of the few things this president seems to be willing to cut that I think is absolutely unacceptable, and as Georgia's representative, the Republican representative on the Armed Services Committee, I want to assure you that national defense is at the top of my list of things that must be protected. Theodore F., Christian theologist, wisely remarked, our strength is seen in the things we stand for. Our weakness is seen in the things that we fall for. Now, just over a few years ago, a lot of people in this country fell for the empty rhetoric of hope and change. 2 years ago, after watching the end result of that empty rhetoric, and what happens when you have a president who's not a leader, Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid wandering around aimlessly, taking away people's personal freedoms, individual liberties, and economic opportunities, Americans said, enough is enough. Or, if you're like us, too much is too much already again. So 86, plus myself, and then 2 others who were elected in off-election years, now make 89 freshman Republicans. Now, if you listen to the press, they have a lot of things to say about us. But what you need to understand about the freshman party is this. We are independent-minded. We don't march the step of anyone drum. We listen to the people that elected us. We come from the districts and we represent each of those individual districts. We believe that your personal freedoms, individual liberties, and economic opportunities rest in how we do our job in protecting your constitutional rights. Now, this president that we have referred to our former President George Bush as unpatriotic because of a $500 billion deficit that he had run. Now, I guess that maybe the President forgot what he promised when he pledged to cut the deficit in half by the end of his first term, because for the last 4 years he's run up trillion-dollar deficits. And I want you to know that this President's budget that was seen in the House got 0 votes in the House of Representatives. Not a Republican or a Democrat voted for it, nor did a Republican or a Democrat vote for it in the Senate. And it's the first signs of intelligence we've seen from the Senate in several years now. But if they can't trust him, then you know you can't trust him. And I'm going to tell you, we as Americans owe it to our next generation to get rid of this president and reinstill our personal freedoms, individual liberties, and economic opportunities. With that said, I want to introduce you to a great man, Tom Graves, who is up there working to protect those personal freedoms, individual liberties, and economic opportunities with me. He's from North Georgia. He's a great, solid conservative, and I hope you'll help me welcome Tom Graves.
All right, George, you ready? This is our time. Y'all realize that. This is our year. I need to know, though, do we have anybody from the Freedom Advancement Team in the House? Is the Freedom Advancement Team here today? Because this is the year we've got to advance some freedom. And you say, well, what's the Freedom Advancement Team? It's a crazy bunch of conservatives that love America, so it's you, right? You're there? You're going to be a part of the team? Now, why is this so important? Because we got to beat Barack Obama, and the fight to beat Barack Obama starts here, and it starts now, and it starts with you. Now, this is a fight. Everybody says, oh, don't use the word fight. Well, let me tell you, it is a fight. It is a fight for the heart and the soul of America. This is a fight over visions, different visions. Barack Obama's vision, debt and dependency. Our vision, opportunity and prosperity. That is what the fight is about this year. So everybody says, well, how do you know what Barack Obama really stands for? Well, just look at the video from Julia. Have y'all seen this? Where they put out a video of dependency on government is the life dream of the young girl. Well, there's one problem with that. Barack Obama didn't ask Julia. Because Julia has her own dream. It's our dream. It's the American dream. It's a dream of growing up in a country where opportunity and prosperity are available for everyone. It's a dream like my daughter's. A dream of being a princess and not a prisoner to government. It's her life to lead. It's her dream. It's a dream of not growing up in a nation where you have tens of thousands of dollars in national debt. It's a dream where she gets an education that's child-centered and parent-driven, not where her mailbox is located. It's a dream where she sleeps well at night, not concerned about the defense of her nation. A dream where you have a fair or flat or tax code, so her parents are making money. And she doesn't know a dime when she gets out of college. It's a dream where she meets the love of her life, and she gets married, yes, to her husband. It's a dream where they start their family. It's a dream where it's a thriving economy and she has all the options available to her. It's a dream where she can stay in her job, she can change careers, or she can stay at home and raise her family. The choice is hers. It's a life well lived. It's a life well earned. It's a life filled with freedom and choice, unshackled from the domineering government. This is Julia's dream. She dreams of earning a paycheck, not an unemployment check. A life free of food stamps and government assistance. It's a life of equal opportunities, not equal outcomes. So when she dreamed of being a princess, Julia never envisioned being trapped in the government's tower, this dingy, dark tower that government is shackling us with. So Georgia Republicans, are you ready? Are you ready to set Julia free? Are you ready to set the Julians of America free? All right, Freedom Advancement Team, it is up to us. This is up to us to release the American people from the handcuffs of liberalism. And the fight starts now and it ends on November 6th when we beat Barack Obama and we set ourselves on that course to opportunity and prosperity. And it hinges on you and it hinges here today. So Georgia Republicans, God bless you and thank you. Let's go to work and let's win this battle.
So we're ready to do some business. So let me, a couple of ground rules for those of you who have not been at a convention that I chaired before. If you want to speak, you need to go to one of the 4 microphones. So if you decide you want to speak, and then if I don't see you, just wave. The way the lights work, I actually can't see very far, but if people wave, I can see you. So are we okay on that? So we're now ready for the next item of business, and that is the report of the Credentials Committee. For that report, please welcome B.J. Van Gundy, Chairman of the Convention Credentials Committee. B.J.?
Thank you, Randy. I know how to get you all to clap. I learned this just a little bit earlier today. Ben Bernanke stinks. I knew it would work. I suggested, Casey was all nervous about speaking after Newt, and I told him, go up there and say Ben Bernanke stinks. You'll get a big room. All right. The individual counties, this is the way this is going to work. I'm going to read you the overall convention numbers for today. While I'm doing that, and after I do that, the information will start scrolling on these screens showing your county. And what it'll show you is it's going to show you how many delegates you have present from your individual county. It will then show how many alternates registered and checked in today for your county. And then it will show you on the next column, here you go. These are the last few columns, y'all. You look underneath present, where it says present. You see delegates present, alternates present, then it says elevate. The elevate number is the number of alternates you'll be elevating out of the number of alternates present, and it will show you your full strength as the last column. So here's the total convention numbers today. We have 1,409 delegates registered today at this convention. We have 618 alternates that have come to the convention and awaiting to be seated. Out of the 618 alternates that have registered and shown up today, 402 will be elevated for a total convention strength of 1,811, which is 1,409 delegates that are present, plus the 402 to be elevated for a full strength of 1,811. Now, those I have, in addition to my report, those numbers include or do not include the numbers for Clark County. The Credentials Committee, based on evidence presented to the Credentials Committee and quite a bit of testimony yesterday and today about the Clark County Convention that was held on March 10th. The Clark County delegation is not to be seated per the committee. And that removes 16 from the original numbers, and the numbers I presented are the numbers after that.
You have heard the report of the Credentials Committee. Is there a motion to accept the report? Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The Credentials report is accepted. We will take a short recess so that alternates can be moved up. The section chairman will, section chairman will report and receive materials so the appropriate alternates may be seated. The section chairs will provide sufficient delegate badges to the respective county chairs so that the authorized number of alternates may be seated. Let me remind you that State Rule 5.7 provides that delegates and alternates shall not be paired Delegates of each delegation shall be by caucus and by majority vote adopt a plan for the seating of alternates for any missing delegates of their delegations. And now the Credentials Committee Chairman will explain how that will work.
All right, I need all the county chairmen to listen. I need everybody to listen, because then when your county chairman doesn't listen, you can tell him what I said. Here's how this is to be done. In the big counties, this becomes even more difficult. But please listen so that we can keep this as short as possible on just changing out badges. Each county needs to look at their numbers. Let's see, Gwinnett County has 104 delegates present, 88 present, 46 to be elevated for a total of 134. Is that correct? Did I read that right? I was reading backwards from the back of this sign. Gwinnett County needs to choose which alternates to elevate in a caucus. You need to determine how you're going to do that. Hopefully the chairman knows what alternates are here. If he doesn't, the Credentials Committee is up there next to registration, and we'll have to provide that information to you, which we have. But if you know, or you're elevating all of them, your county party chairman needs to go up outside in the hall by registration, and my committee will be there to hand him his delegate elevation badges to be handed to the alternates that are to be elevated. So your county party chairman needs to go up there knowing what he's going to do. Now he can go up there and get those badges and then figure it out. Or he may want to tell his alternates to come with him somewhere else or get the list and go back to the caucus. But county party chairman need to go up to registration to get those passes. One person please going up there, not everybody. Thank you.
Convention is in recess.
We're looking at the alternate section. It's people being moved down into the delegation to take the place of the delegates who have not shown up. This is the DeKalb County group meeting over here to vote on the moving delegates down. They're the biggest group of Ron Paul supporters, I think, in the state of Georgia. Did not seat the delegates from Clark County that covers Athens because the rules weren't followed at their district convention.
Okay, we're moving close. We have two counties that are in the process of moving theirs up. The Walker County chairman is just outside the door past the L sign. If you are a Walker County alternate, if you would go visit him, you'll have what you need to move up. Just outside the door where the L is, right where it says nominating committee, there's a sign, it's the Walker County chairman. We're getting really close.
James, good job. podium to make an announcement if you're an alternate for Hall County?
Got 7 hours of video time. My camera's about to be filled up at this point and run out of disk space.
If you are a member of the Credentials Committee, please report back upstairs. I'm missing 2. I have 2 stray credentials. Please bring them and escort them upstairs if you find them.
Probably already looking.
a county chairman, please move to the entrance area so that you can find your alternates and move up. If your county has already moved up, if you are alternates that have already moved up, I would ask that you please be seated so that it will give me a sense of how far along we are in the moving up process. So if you are a county that either has no alternates or you're a county that has already seated your alternates, please be seated. Properly seated, please take your seat. If you are a delegate or an alternate, please take your seat.
You know who the chairman of the West County Republican Party is? Bryce Johnson's mother, who has not even bothered to say. I'd say out of 159 county chairmen,
So are there any counties that are not yet ready to proceed? Okay, just check it.
Democracy in action.
If you have been seated as an alternate or delegate, please be seated. Actually, sit down if you would for me, so that I can get a sense of how close we are to being complete. So if you are an alternate who has been moved up and credentialed, or you're a delegate who has a badge already, please be seated, just so that I can see when we're ready to proceed. So if I could get the Sergeant at Arms to give me a report on the two, I think I see, remaining counties that are still in process. Gene, if you would, and Sergeant at Arms, if you would check with our two groups in the back just to give me an update on their status.
That's okay, I just wanted to say hello. The committee chairman for the county, they had a little questionnaire. 34 people filled it out. They needed 40. The other 6, he's just going to say, you.
So if I could get the Sergeant at Arms to give me a
almost
report
got you in.
On the two remaining counties, I think I see one by J, and I see one by
Chris is coming up.
L. I'm sorry? No, I'm just trying to get an update on how far along we are. And you're welcome. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to get an update.
We're looking at the alternate section. These people being moved down into the delegation to take the place of the delegates who have not shown up. This is the DeKalb County group meeting over here to vote on moving delegates down. They're the biggest group of Ron Paul supporters, I think, in the state of Georgia. Did not seat the delegates from Clark County that covers Athens because the rules weren't followed at their district convention.
Okay, we're moving close. We have two counties that are in the process of moving theirs up. The Walker County chairman is just outside the door past the L sign. If you are a Walker County alternate, if you would go visit him, you'll have what you need to move up. Just outside the door where the L is, right where it says nominating committee, there's a sign, it's the Walker County chairman. We're getting really close.
James Goodchild. James Goodchild.
Yeah, you. Because they can't get on the floor.
Would you ask them at the podium to make an announcement if you're an alternate for Hall County?
Got 7 hours of video time. My camera's about to be filled up at this point and run out of disk space.
If you are a member of the Credentials Committee, please report back upstairs. I'm missing 2. I have 2 stray credentials. Please bring them and escort them upstairs if you find.
Are we ready to proceed? Okay, good. So, not yet ready, just raise your hand. Okay, good. That's fine. Just try to get a feel. So we're at about, for the rest of the convention, we're at about 95% ready. The motion to amend was then seconded. Yeah, there was a motion to amend to add a sentence about whether or not someone who didn't support it could be supported by the party. That was then made. Then there was a motion for reconsideration. And as a result, the motion for reconsideration was seconded. It was then pending. And before a motion could be held on the resolution committee decided to withdraw the resolution. That's what happened. Are there other questions? Number three. Number three.
Andrew Strickland, delegate from Baldwin County.
Yes.
I would just like to mention that if the Georgia Republican Party is going to withdraw resolutions every time the votes don't exactly go your way, then we're undermining the very foundation of this party.
Mr. Chairman, the Resolutions Committee would like to present the next resolution if it would be placed on the screen for partisan elections for all elected offices in Georgia. Whereas since the founding of these United States, political parties have been a foundation of the electoral process, and whereas such parties have established and forwarded fundamental beliefs and platforms as to the role of governments in the lives of the country and its citizens. And whereas because these parties' positions and platforms are well known and available to all, and whereas these platforms reflect the principles and positions of each party and thus represent the beliefs of those who work for each party and run for office on a party's ticket, and whereas third-party and nonpartisan options are available alternates for anyone who wishes to run for office without party affiliation or a side of the two major parties, and whereas because candidates for elected office may choose to run as a candidate on any or no party ticket, and whereas because candidates for office by party attest to these platforms and positions in qualifying, and whereas because their candidacy and subsequent service in elected office reflects and represents such party officers, staff, volunteers, and voters, and whereas because such representation of these parties and principles by such candidates and elected officials is of fundamental importance to the electoral process, as well as attest to the character and beliefs of candidates and elected officials. And whereas because we as Republicans believe that our positions and platforms are most in keeping with the letter and spirit of the Constitution of the United States and the state of Georgia. And whereas because of such we believe these policies and beliefs result in the best public policy and government at all levels, and therefore the best future for our state, country, posterity. Now therefore be it resolved, the Georgia Republican Party believes that all elected offices in the state of Georgia, including constitutional, state, local, judicial, or other, should be partisan, and qualifications should be by party or under the constitutional provision for nonpartisan candidacies if the candidate so chooses. And be it further resolved that the Georgia Republican Party urges the governor and members of the Georgia General Assembly to introduce and pass general legislation to such effect at the beginning of the 2013 session of the Georgia General Assembly, and therefore let it finally be resolved that a copy of this resolution be delivered to the Honorable Governor of Georgia, Nathan Deal, and all elected members of the Georgia General Assembly.
You've heard the resolution. Is there a motion to adopt? Is there a second? Is there any discussion on the pending motion? Discussion on the pending motion? Microphone 4.
Hey, Eric Lindborg, Columbia County. You're doing a great job. I really appreciate how you're conducting this.
Thank you.
Why would we ever pass that resolution? I don't understand why you would restrict people getting elected in any way. That's all.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the pending motion? Microphone 1. Yes.
During the GOP debates, Mitt Romney was asked if he would sign the NDAA, and he said he would. He's not a conservative.
Microphone 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Brad Carver from Fulton County. I would like to make a point for counties in Georgia that are not majority Republican, like Fulton, like DeKalb, like other big counties in the state. This is not good for a statewide position. There's certainly counties where you have majorities and this would work for them, but in the counties where, like Fulton, where we're not a majority, this is bad for our judicial races or other nonpartisan races. I recommend that we do not approve this. This is not a good statewide position.
Are there other? Microphone 3. And by the way, the gentleman at microphone 3 did exactly the right thing, which is if you, when you get up there, just do this, because what it is the lights have you in a shadow, so I can't really see unless I get movement. Thank you for doing that. Microphone 3.
Mr. Chairman, I try to do things right, but not always. I'm Dennis Goxel from Warren County, and I'd like to stand in opposition to this resolution for 2 reasons. One is this should be a local matter. Let the local, I believe the Republican Party stands for local control. This should be a matter of local control. Second, the resolution talks about our founding fathers. Our founding father, George Washington, strongly opposed when he was told that the new government just formed for the United States of America would be controlled by political parties. His statement was, he would, in opposition, would say that the people would soon follow the party or the politician rather than the principles that they were founded on. And we need a party of principles and not allegiance to party and politician, but the principles that we stand on. The problem is not the electors. The problem is the failure of the party and the politician to do what they say they will do and what the Republican Party has stated for so long. Thank you. I vote against this amendment, this resolution.
Thank you. Where else do I have? Okay, microphone 4.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
My name is Lynn Stevens. I'm a proud Republican. I am also an elected official, and I stand in support of this resolution for the simple reason that as a member of a local board of education, I have fought for 15 years to get true Republicans and not rhinos elected. We are a party of equality. We are a party of less government and lower taxes, and we need to be able to hold people accountable to those standards. The way you do that is to show the differences between Democrats and Republicans and make people state their colors.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Microphone number 2. Did I see somebody at microphone 2? I'm sorry. Yes, please go right ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, yes. From Forsyth County. We are a political party, and it's our job as members of the party to make sure our platform reflects the values of America. We do need to have certain races to be nonpartisan and other ones that need to be partisan. I would make a motion to amend the resolution to strike the word judicial from the motion and then proceed with the motion as it says.
I have a motion. Is there a second? I have a second. So there is a motion to amend. Now, what this means in order to keep us moving today is it means we have to limit this. Hold on. We have to limit our discussion now on just the amendment. And the amendment is the deletion of the word judicial. If you'd like to speak to that amendment, let me know. Microphone 1.
Speaking on the motion. I'm Wendell Willard from Fulton County. I'm a lawyer, you're a lawyer, and you're a lawyer. There are a lot of lawyers in this office, in this convention rather. For 40 years I've practiced law. I've been before judges back in the old days when they were elected partisan. and I stood before him as a Republican, before a judge of an opposite party. You want to be judges who are ruling on the law, not on partisanship. You represent the client based upon the needs of that client as to what the rights are under the law, not a partisan judge. I would strongly support the motion.
Are there anyone else who wants to speak to just the deletion of the word judicial? Microphone number 2.
I am in agreement with the previous person that we live within the law. The law of the land is the Constitution of the United States. We live within the confines of that. The issue of partisan matters is the issue of the Constitution. If we said in this motion that we were going to have the Republican Party be the party that strongly stands within the Constitution, this would also cover issues that we've had a friction about with the NDAA or other issues, because the question is not that our politicians are frail or make decisions contrary to law, but if the law is the Constitution, we provide them the opportunity to seek forgiveness as any human mortal would seek forgiveness if they are in error regarding higher law. So I'm saying use the Constitution, and we have no fault, and all persons could agree, because all persons present here love the Constitution.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak on the single amendment of judicial? Microphone number 4.
Ed Maynard, Whitfield County. If anyone thinks that judges do not use their political philosophy to make decisions, just needs to look at the Supreme Court. Judges, regardless of how they're elected, if they cannot judge on the letter of the law, should be impeached. It does not matter how they are elected. Partisan and nonpartisan elections are about elections, not how they do their duties. There is no justification for the Republican Party to enable people behind their philosophy, political philosophy, behind a nonpartisan label. They can run as an independent.
Microphone 1. Yeah, right here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lindsay, Fulton County, also a member of the Georgia House Judiciary Committee, former member of the Judicial Nominating Committee. I want to remind this body that we now control the governor's office. The governor's office gets to appoint judges around the state. A lot of times he's appointing judges around the state in predominantly Democratic areas such as Fulton, DeKalb, and other similar counties. If you require the judges that our governor is appointing to run under a partisan Republican label, we will lose a lot of great trial lawyers around this state. So in addition to the principal arguments my friend Wendell Willard raised, I ask you from a practical standpoint, let's not give away that which we fought so hard for in getting the governor's mansion. I ask everyone to vote yes on this amendment.
So we have one more comment on just the amendment. We will come to the resolution. Microphone 2.
Mr. Chair, Joel Knapp, Forsyth County. I call the question on the amendment.
The question has been called on just the amendment. Yes, microphone 3. Do you object to the call of the question? No? No. So I have the question has been called without objection. All we're voting on is whether to delete the word judicial from the resolution. Does everybody understand? So if you vote yes, that word will be dropped out. If you vote no, that word will be left in. Is everybody okay? So all those in favor of dropping the word judicial, say aye. Aye. All those opposed to dropping the word judicial, say no. I was afraid that would happen. All those in favor of dropping the word judicial, please stand. Thank you. Please sit. All those opposed to dropping the word judicial, please stand. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The word judicial will be dropped. Now we come to the main motion. The main motion is to adopt the resolution as amended. Is there further discussion on the main motion? Microphone number 3.
Yes, sir. Walter Reynolds, Baldwin County. To include everything in all the way down to the local level, I believe would cause a more polarizing effect among the voting constituency. especially in, for example, in my hometown, where we have a liberal arts university. If I'm going to seek a position with the city council, I think that it would be prudent of me not to out myself as a Republican to them, since typically these liberal-minded college students find themselves voting for Democrats.
Thank you. Other? Yes, microphone number 4.
John Reed, Jeff Davis County. I am in favor of this, but I would remind all that once you're elected, regardless of party, once elected, we represent all of the people, not Republicans, not just Democrats, but everybody, and we must act as if we represent everybody, regardless of what they think. We are their elected representative.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Brad Wilkins, Forsyth County. I call the question.
Question has been called. Is there an objection? Is there an objection to the call of the question? I hear none. So we will vote. So all those in favor of the motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Microphone 1, did you have an objection to call the question?
I had further discussion, but it was going to be very brief, if I may. Thank you.
So the motion is before us. If you vote yes, you're for the resolution. If you vote no, you're against it. Does everybody understand? All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. I think I could tell that, but let me be safe. All those in favor of the resolution, please stand. Good. Means that I haven't lost my sense of hearing. Please sit down. All those opposed to the resolution, stand up. The resolution fails.
One more, Mr. Chairman. If the staff would put it up on the screen. Yeah, thank you. The Committee on Resolution would like to forward a resolution.
Stay in order because we want to get this stuff done here.
A resolution for caps on lobbyist gift to elected officials, whereas Republicans believe that public service is a respected and honorable calling, and whereas Republicans have always expected high ethical standards for those in elected office, and whereas Georgia elected Republicans have made substantial and continuous reforms in Georgia ethics laws since becoming the majority party, and whereas special or extravagant gratuities and considerations extended to those in elected office can encumber and hinder objective and ethical policy making, and whereas Georgia is still one of only a few states with no cap on gifts to elected officials, therefore let it be resolved that the Georgia Republican Party urges the Georgia General Assembly to introduce additional ethics reform legislation as relating to a reasonable cap on gifts to elected officials from lobbyists in the upcoming 2013 session.
You've heard the resolution. Is there a motion to adopt? Is there a second? Okay, now we have discussion. Microphone 2.
Just very brief. I support this measure. However, we must all recognize that no matter how many laws we pass regulating lobbyists, regulating money going to political candidates, political office holders, it is the power that we have vested in the government and the centralization of the power that has grown up over all these years that is the root cause of all this. The key is small government, which is why we're all here.
Thank you. Microphone number 1. Microphone 1.
I would like to say that I'm very pleased the resolution committee passed this out of committee. We can send a strong message that the Georgia Republican Party is for tough ethics reform and that we are a party of principle and ethical government. And I would encourage you to vote yes on this resolution.
Microphone 3.
My name is Carl Swenson from Clayton County, and I would like to also say that I support this, but would like an amendment to it to include the NDAA bill that was withdrawn.
Microphone 2.
I would like to make a motion that that cap be amended to be $1.
Microphone number 1. Second. So I have a second on the motion to amend to $1. Yeah, okay, good. So we have a motion to amend and a second. So now our discussion is limited to the cap. Microphone 1.
Joshua Kuhn from Muskogee County. I want to say that there has been an awful lot of work to end the practice of unlimited giving from lobbyists to members of the state legislature, and there is widespread agreement on the $100 cap. And so I would urge everyone to pass the resolution unamended. It will send a strong message, as George Washington said, that we raise a standard to which the wise and honorable may repair, and the rest we leave in the hands of God. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment itself? Just on the amendment. Microphone 4.
If I'm for, I want to discuss the whole thing, not the amendment. But you wouldn't recognize me at the time.
I apologize to you. It just means I didn't see you. I apologize.
Well, does that mean I can talk?
Yes, please go. But I do need you, so that we stay in order, to speak to the amendment. I will recognize you first if you want to wait till we vote on the amendment.
I don't want to wait.
Well,
I've waited long enough.
okay. Are you prepared to speak to the amendment?
Well, no, I don't want to speak to the amendment.
Okay, then just 1 minute for me. Anybody else want to speak to the amendment? Microphone 2.
Mr. Chairman, Joel Knapp, Forsyth County, I call the question on the amendment.
I call the question on the amendment. Is there objection? Okay, number 3.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to speak to the cap. I think we have to be, there's a lot of echo, isn't there? We have to be very mindful of Newt Gingrich and all of our other elected officials. If you make the cap $1, that means if you need change for your parking meter, you would have violated it. How many people in public office do we need harassed because of trumped up ethics charges? Remember Sarah Palin? She left office because she was harassed out of office. Thank you.
Microphone 1.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the amendment. To vote for this $1 would make a rush on gold $1 coins, which of course, dollars, and no matter how much this would not be accepted, this would be the result. Thank you.
So, microphone 3.
I would like to be able to buy my congressman a cup of coffee at Starbucks, which would be outlawed by the $1 cap.
Okay, so, yes, sir. On the amendment?
Buddy, I think anybody in this room would see me who understands that I've been fighting for ethics reform in Georgia. With this $1 cap, it's so important that we pass this resolution. I'm afraid, after seeing what happened earlier today, that if we pass this amendment, that it would just be withdrawn. And I'd rather make some progress, so please don't vote for the amendment.
So we have... hold on. I have a call to question in a second, which means I thought if we only had a couple of people I'd go, but I have a call to question and a second, so I have to take a vote on that. If you vote yes, we will end the discussion on the amendment. If you vote no, then we will continue the discussion on the amendment. Does everybody understand? So all those in favor of ending the discussion on the amendment say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. So even I can figure that one out. So we go back to the main. Amendment. No, we have to vote on the main amendment. I called the question on the amendment. So the question being called on the amendment. You will now vote on the amendment. If you vote yes, you will be voting to add a $1 cap. If you vote no, you will be voting against a $1 cap. Is everybody with me? So all those in favor of a $1 cap say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the nays have it and the motion fails. You now have back before you the main motion, and I promised the lady I would let her go first. Microphone number 4, speak to the main motion.
Thank you very much. I'm glad your mind's, your memory's good because, never mind. I'll not say it. I want to know, well, one thing, I want to know what a cap's going to be before I vote on this. Just a reasonable cap. What's reasonable to one person is not to another. That's pretty obvious when you got people who want $1 and somebody wants $100. We need to know before we vote on this thing what a cap is going to be. Also, I'd like to make this statement. Ethics comes from the person, not from the law. And we need to remember that.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion on the main motion? Microphone 3. 3, right here.
Hello? Dave McNeil, Henry County.
I'm sorry, you have to get a little closer.
Dave McNeil, and there is a lot of echo. Henry County. I can't imagine how many election finance laws we have, and personally I'd like to see the bottom scrape, and the only contributions should be by voters and only for delegates, or candidates that they can lawfully vote for. This whole lobbyist industry, it needs to go the way of the dinosaur.
Thank you. Anything else on the main motion? Microphone 4. Microphone 4. Don't touch the button, it just stays, it goes. Microphone 4, is it on?
No, it's, I guess it is.
Go right ahead.
You cut me off before I was through.
Oh.
Don't do that again.
I will do my best.
I know how to get up to the stage. Just thought I'd mention it. Anyway, when I was talking, you need to elect ethical people, and they won't take more. And the main thing is, when you get a contribution, you tell what you did with it. Don't put it in your pocket and say nothing. That's ethics. But I still want to know what a cap would be. And, is it over a day? Is it over? I would assume it would be a cumulative thing, which would be over a period of time. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's for your whole term of office. What do we know about that? Is it for the day? Is it for the year? For the term of the office, or what? This thing may be good. I don't know. I think we better know more about it before we vote on it. Thank you very much. I will sit down and I'll leave you alone.
Any further discussion on the main motion? Microphone 1.
Thank you. Thank you. As I'm sitting here listening to this particular resolution, I think we all agree on conservatism, the Constitution, less government. We don't want government running our lives. And as I'm sitting here listening to this, it sounds like we're trying to form a new committee to implement more regulation and more control. And that just seems to go against the grain of what we're all here for. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Microphone 3.
Hello. I would like to say that I think that we should put a limit of $250 annually. We should state a dollar amount for the cap for any politician, political party, whatsoever, period. And that goes for Walmart, that goes for any individual here, because no one should have any more or less influence over our politicians than any other person.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
Joe Beeman, Chairman of Coweta County. I want to say that I support Senator McCoon's efforts in the state Senate, and on that I will call the question.
Question has been called. Is there objection? Microphone number 4.
Hello, okay, what I want to say is that any limit on contributions is an abridgment of free speech. We had a ruling by the Supreme Court in the Citizens United case, which ruled that the companies were able to broadcast on television, large companies. But my answer to this question is not how much can you contribute, but to keep down the possibility of favors by government to individuals. We want a government that cannot be bought. We want a government that will not allow legislators to be bought to impose more rules and regulations and to give them more power. We need a government to hold back the power of individuals to control and overrun the Constitution by giving favors to business. So if the government can't help you, they will not contribute.
Thank you. Was there a second to call the question? I had a second. So now, if you vote microphone 1, I assume it's a point of parliamentary inquiry or point of order? Yes.
But because this has rolled on for so long, most of the people in our section have forgotten what the resolution even said. So can you reread it and then let's vote and move on?
That's it. Well, let's vote on ending discussion. Can I do that? And then have the resolution reread? Is that okay? So what we're going to do is if you vote yes, we're ending the discussion. We'll have the resolution reread so that everybody will have it fresh. If you vote no, we'll continue the debate. All those in favor of ending the discussion say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The discussion is ended. The resolution will be reread.
Mr. Chairman, could we get it put back up on the screen? There it is right there, and I'll let them reread it. So, resolution for caps on lobbyist gifts to elected officials. Whereas Republicans believe that public service is a respected and honorable calling, and whereas Republicans have always expected high ethical standards for those in elected office, and whereas Georgia elected Republicans have made substantial and continuous reforms in Georgia ethics laws since becoming the majority party, and whereas special or extravagant gratuities and considerations extended to those in elected office can encumber and hinder objective and ethical policy making, and whereas Georgia is still one of only a few states with no cap on gifts to elected officials, therefore let it be resolved that the Georgia Republican Party urges the Georgia General Assembly to introduce additional ethics reform legislation as relating to a reasonable cap on gifts to elected officials from lobbyists in the upcoming 2013 session.
So, you've heard the resolution. If you vote yes, you're in favor of the resolution. If you vote no, you're opposed to the resolution. Everybody clear? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. And the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Thank you. Our next order of business is the report of the Rules Committee. For that purpose, the chair calls on Rules Committee Chairman Ann Lewis.
Good afternoon, everybody. As you know, the call required that any proposed changes to the rules of the state party be submitted no later than April 18, 2012. We did receive several proposed changes to the party rules. Our committee met twice. We heard from the people who submitted the changes. One of the proposed rules changes was withdrawn, and the committee voted unanimously not to present any of the remaining changes to this convention. upset about that. The additional item that had to be considered by the Rules Committee really were two: the agenda for this convention and the convention rules. The committee approved submitting the agenda as presented in your printed program to the convention. There are two items that need to be added to the agenda. The first is a report on the appeal regarding the 13th District Convention and the selection of national delegates and alternates at that convention. And the second is a similar report on the appeal from the 4th District Convention and the election of alternates and delegates at that convention. So the committee recommends that we add those two items to the final agenda in the point in time immediately following the election of delegates and alternates to the National Convention. And with those two amendments, the committee moves the adoption of the agenda for this convention.
So you have the agenda, it's in the program with the two things added at the end, which are to take up two pending appeals. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Is there a second? Okay, discussion. Microphone number 1.
Point of information.
Sure.
Could you restate the motion we are voting for?
Just the agenda? The agenda adding the two items at the end.
Okay.
Just the agenda with the two appeals that have to be taken up at the end. Any other? Yes, microphone number 4.
There are many people that came here that are, just wanting to know what the status of the appeals are. And I think it would be unfair to wait for the appeals to be moved to the end. So I move that we amend the amendment and put the, and have the appeals be before nominations.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? I have a second. Is there anything on the narrow motion, which is a motion to amend the motion to submit the agenda? I'm going to come to you, microphone 3. I got you. So is there any discussion on just the motion to amend? That's motion to amend. Microphone 3.
I never heard an opportunity to discuss what the lady with the red shirt and the black jacket just said. I showed up because I had rules changes in a resolution, and I was told by the Sergeant of Arms that I couldn't go back to the committee room because I wasn't a member of the committee. I wasn't asked to speak about what I submitted. I don't mind at this point. I'm happy for us to go on with our business, but I want to let the body know that that's what I was told. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on the motion to amend? So the motion you have before you is a motion to move the appeals reports up before nominating. If you vote yes, we'll move those up first. If you vote no, they'll stay where they are at the end. Everybody with me? So, all those in favor of the motion to amend, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Opinion of the chair, the nays have it, and the motion fails. We have a division of the House called. So here's what we will do. All those in favor of the motion, which is to move the appeals up, please stand. Thank you. Please be seated. All those opposed to the motion to amend, please stand. So the motion fails. Now we will move to the main motion, which is the motion to adopt the agenda. Is there any further discussion on the agenda itself? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the motion to adopt the agenda say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, the agenda is adopted.
My partner in the representation of the party is Stefan Passantino, and he reminded me that I should tell you that with respect to the rules changes for this convention, they had to be submitted before April 18th. However, the Rules Committee will meet again probably in the fall to take up any changes anybody might like to suggest, and then those changes would probably be presented to the next state committee meeting. So there'll be a notice going out from the party and on the party's website about that. So to the extent that you have any changes, you will be welcome to make those at that time. You have in your seats copies of the proposed convention rules, and the committee moves the adoption of these rules.
Good. Well, just what? Yeah, I've got to just make sure I know where I'm at. So we have before you the motion for the adoption of the convention rules, and we will start with microphone 1. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we amend rule number 7 by changing sentence number 3 from a motion to elect to a motion to accept, and also striking sentence number 4 from the beginning through the word fails.
Hold on, let me make sure. I got the first one. What was the second one? No, can you just repeat what was your second amendment? The second change?
Okay, would you like me to bring this up?
No, oh, in the event. Okay, I got it.
By changing sentence number 3 from a motion to elect.
Okay, so is there a second? Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Is there anything else?
Discussion.
Oh, hold on. Are there any? Good. So microphone number 2.
Mr. Chairman, I rise in support of the amendment. We are all gathered here today at great personal expense and in both coin and time to elect delegates to the National Convention, and that is what we are here for today, as well as electing a committee man to the National Convention, to the National Committee. If we are here to do that, we must recognize that the election, to say that the election is going to happen immediately after the committee report has been made, is precluding any nominations from the floor. So in essence, the convention has already happened. The convention happened this morning in the nominating committee room, and we are just a rubber stamp for the convention. Now I'm aware that there's a contingency if it fails, but I really support this amendment.
Okay, anybody else wish to be heard on the motion? Microphone number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do rise in support of this amendment. As the rule number 7 is written, it seems that it may restrict some of our members' rights to present themselves or a fellow delegate to the body as consideration for delegates or alternates. So I would ask that we support this amendment.
Other discussion on microphone number 1.
Hello, Brian Donegan of Gwinnett County. If we're going to change the rules as they are written, for the benefit of anyone who is legally blind or has trouble reading the rules, I propose that the rules, as they are proposed to be amended, be read.
Okay. Other discussion, because we are going to go back over it. As everybody knows, I'm a redundancy person. When we get ready to vote, I will go exactly over what you're going to have before you, and I will read that so that you have it. Other discussion from microphone 1.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
This amendment I support because it will open up this process to the body of this convention to provide a chance for everyone to have more of a say and to have the greatest result.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
Mr. Chair, Heather Lyons, Forsyth County, can you please read what the amendment is and the section so we know what we're discussing?
Sure, I will do that in just a moment. Yes, microphone number 4.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Shane Carlton from DeKalb County, thank you. I want to address the chair and say that we've heard a lot of talk about unity today, and I want to support this amendment that the best way to have unity is to allow the delegates to have a voice. It is when delegates are not allowed a voice that division is called. The reason this country has been founded was because King George did not allow the colonists He did not want to hear their voice. I rise in support of this amendment. Thankfully, King George didn't allow to have a voice so that we could have this great country. But to allow unity, please support this amendment.
Thank you. Microphone one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Boyd Parks from Cobb County. I rise in support of this amendment. I think the delegates to this convention need to be able to be heard and nominated from the body. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Microphone number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would call the question.
Question's been called. Is there a second? There's a second. All those in favor of ending the discussion on the motion to amend, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. So we will vote on the motion to amend. Let me go back over several requests. I want to specifically give you the motion to amend. If you look at number 7 of the convention rules, if you look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down, it says a motion to elect the list of nominees presented by the nominating group committee as a group shall be in order. That would be changed to change the word elect to the word accept. The next sentence would then be deleted. The sentence deleted is, in the event that a motion to elect nominees recommended by the nominating committee as a group fails, the process for electing at-large delegates and alternates shall then proceed as follows. That is the amendment. So if you vote yes, you will take that out of the rules. If you vote no, then the rules stay as they are. Does everybody understand what we're doing? Okay, so all those in favor of the amendment, in favor of the deletion, say aye. All those opposed say no. Now, not even I. So let me do this. All those in favor of the amendment, which is the deletion, please stand up. Thank you. Please be seated. All those against the amendment, please stand up. The motion fails. Now we will go to the main motion. The main motion is the motion to adopt the convention rules. Point of order? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, it's my fault. Number 4, my fault.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Any rule that, point of order, any rule that would restrict the voting rights of the delegation, which this motion, with this rule would do, requires a 2/3 vote. So I would ask that we have a revote and have a 2/3 vote on this motion.
The gentleman is partially correct, I am told, by the parliamentarian. To adopt the convention rules requires 2/3 vote, not the motion to amend. So we are now up to the standard that you just articulated. You are correct. Yes, sir. Point of parliamentary inquiry? You have a point of order, a point of parliamentary inquiry. Number 4?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
So, as of right now, the motion to pass these rules requires a 2/3 vote.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes, right here, microphone number 1.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
As though this rule number 7.
Yes.
In essence, what in character it means to me is that it is changing the vote to close nominations from a 2/3 vote to a majority vote. Well, no, never mind.
No,
we're doing a 2/3 vote now.
You answered your own question, I think, there. I've done that before myself. Any other discussion on the main motion? Number 4.
Yes, this is Ron Stowski from Glenn County. If we do not adopt, these are changes to the standing rules, correct?
These are the standing rules. If your question is that if the motion fails, what will happen?
No, the motion failed. The rules that we operate under, if this does not pass,
we still operate under those rules.
We operate under Robert's rules.
Okay.
Yeah. Next. So, I'm sorry, number 2.
Mr. Chairman, Edward Lindsay of Atlanta. Parliamentary inquiry.
Certainly.
If the rules do not pass, will the chairman consider giving us an adjournment so that we could go back to the hotels? We're going to need to get some rooms for the next few days.
I think the way it will work is that if the rules fail, that the Rules Committee would offer a substitute motion, but that's normally how it works, but I can't speak for the Rules Committee Chairman. Number 4.
Mr. Chairman, Darrell Galloway, Paulding County. I just want to point out that if we pass these rules, this doesn't mean that Rule 7 just says that a motion would be in order. The body would have the right to vote it down and do things differently.
That is correct. And that would be a majority vote. Yes. Microphone number 1.
Yes. If we achieve the 2/3 vote to strike down Rule 7, if we do that, we are differentiating ourselves from the Democratic Party and the Obama administration, because we are giving everyone in this body here today the ability to have a voice, something that's been taken away from us over the last 4 years by a socialist president. I urge the body not to become accidental socialists in their zeal to adopt this rule.
Thank you. So, microphone number 2.
Mr. Chairman, Joel Noe, Forsyth County. I call the question.
Question is called. There's a second. Any objection to call the question? Hearing none, we will call the question. If you object to call the question, we will vote on the call to question. All those in favor of ending debate, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. So now you have the main motion before you. No further discussion. The motion is to adopt the rules as they are. If you are in favor of adopting the rules, please stand. Appointment from, 1 second for me. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Let me take the nay vote, and then I will come back to the point of inquiry. All those opposed to adopting the rules stand. Yep, thank you. Please be seated. Now, what was the point of parliamentary inquiry? 1, I'm sorry. Thank you, whoever did that.
It was just to ask if that was the vote, you needed 2/3 vote to adopt the rules.
It was a 2/3, and the chair found that it was 2/3. Is there any other thing? Okay, division. So, the next item of business, I think, is nominated. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed something. Yeah, number 1.
They want a division.
Oh, they want to count? It's back. So here's... To get the standing count, I am advised by the parliamentarian requires a majority vote. If you want a standing count, say yay. If you do not want a standing count, say nay. All those in favor of a standing count, say yay. All those who do not want a standing count, say nay. That's an opinion of the chair that nays have it. Yes, sir. Number 1. Yes, number 1. Number 1. Yes, sir. Microphone number 1.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, please.
Pardon
me? The rule you just stated, which was that it takes a majority to get a standing count.
Yeah.
Could you please cite that rule? I see the parliamentary in the book.
I will defer to the parliamentarian who will pull that up. While we're doing that, is it it okay while he gets you the rule citation that I go ahead and start the report?
It's not really okay.
Then we'll wait.
Sorry.
No, that's not a problem. Yes. Microphone number 2.
Point of parliamentary
inquiry.
Mr. Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, but rising votes are division votes, and your rising vote on that 2/3 ended division, the ability to call division.
I believe that is correct, but I defer to the parliamentarian. Microphone number 1.
My sweet friend right here has found that in the rules and withdraws that, he says. But then he wants to add something.
However.
So you found the rule before we could.
Yeah, we found the rule.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I appeal from the decision of the chair.
Okay. Well, I think the appeal was decided by the majority vote. So I think that I have to the convention control on that issue. Next, the next order of business is the nominating committee report. Point of order? Yeah, number 4.
The last vote to determine whether or not we were going to have a standing count was a voice vote, and there were several guests and alternates casting the vote, and I would like to redo that and make sure that they are not speaking, and I would like to redo that by a county caucus vote.
So the chair, it wasn't close. So I would, if I thought it was close, so that I thought the audience or the guests could have made a difference in that vote. The next order of business is the nominating committee report. With respect to the point of order number 4.
Point of order.
Yes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you can't rule when you're going against parliamentary procedure. You cannot make that rule. When division is called, it has to be continually divided until everyone is satisfied. In other words, you go for a standing, then you go for a voice vote, then a standing vote, and then by county, or by district, and then by county.
Well,
and if you have to, you go roll call, each individual. That's the way it works. That's Robert's Rules of Order. Quit bogarting this convention and being a bull